shit, mama. Attention. The underground нам нужно at 250, да?
Да.
То какое время прямо сейчас? Мама, мы сейчас
I'm just going to shove all the things that I find right there. And then dump them into my thing. I also have these two other things.
Real gold?
All right, everyone. Britannia was. Just shout out the answer if you want. Exactly, that's right. It was a copper mine. And this copper mine operated from 1905 until 1974. So nearly 70 years of full operations. And I'll take questions in just a minute, Steve. And over that 70 years of operations, this mine produced enough copper for a wire this thick to go around the world 9 times. That is a lot of copper, everyone. Now, we used that copper primarily to conduct electricity, like my overhead lights here. We also used it in everyday electronics and in cars as well. So copper serves some incredibly important uses, even today. Now, even though this mine grew to be the world's, not the world's, but the largest copper mine in the British Empire, it started off as a very small operation with not a lot of equipment or funds. And so, in the very early years of our work here, we had to rely on a very special tool in order to find that copper. And guess what that tool is, everyone? The human eye. So, we're going to practice something called reading the ore, which is what our miners had to do. I'm going to ask everyone to take a few steps forward for me. And take a look at the ore samples I have set up on this ledge here. Yes, what's your question?
Why is there gold in here?
Ooh, are you sure it's gold?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, we'll talk about it in a minute. All right, so it will most likely help you out if you can shine a light from a cell phone or a flashlight onto the ore samples. And then tell me what you can see shining in that area.
Mom, this is gold? Mommy, need turning gold.
Okay, now I've heard some whispers that we may have found gold. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. However, we have not found any gold today. What we have found is something called chalcopyrite. Now, chalcopyrite is about 35% copper, and it was our primary source of copper here at the mine. So, congratulations, everyone. It's a little bit more complicated than you may have originally thought, but you have found copper nonetheless. Excellent work.
Where is the copper?
But if this is the only system I have in order to find that copper, it's going to take me a very long time in order to produce the amount of copper that this mine did. And so, I think this system might need a bit of an upgrade. Like, for example, my core drill here. Now, this drill is sometimes called a diamond drill. And I'm going to ask everyone to take a few steps this way for me, just so we can all see. And it's sometimes called a diamond drill because of this wonderful diamond embedded drill bit it has. Now, this was done in order to make this drill bit very, very strong. Strong enough to travel through the ore around us and almost make it look easy in the process. And that's exactly what this drill is going to do. It's going to travel up into our ore here, and it's going to cut a small cylinder as it goes, about the same size of this pipe here. that is going to leave us with something that looks an awful lot like this. This right here is called a core sample. And this is essentially Britannia's version of Google Maps. It's going to tell our miners exactly where they can find that chalcopyrite and how much chalcopyrite they can expect to be in a particular area. This system made things much more efficient here at the mine. Imagine how much of a difference it made going from basically having to guess at how much chalcopyrite you'd be able to find to knowing exactly how much you were going to find and the most efficient route to get to it as well. Because this technology here allowed us to essentially make a giant map of the mountain. All right, now, over the course of our 70 years here, there was a lot more technological change than just relating to how we found chalcopyrite. For example, when this mine first opened, this was the drilling equipment being used. It's going to be a very slow process for me to build a tunnel this size using this equipment here. And let's compare this equipment to the equipment that they were using towards our mine's end of operations. This guy right over here. This is a jackleg drill. Now, this jackleg drill is very special for a few different reasons. The drills in between our hand tools here and our jackleg drill had some, let's call them faults. For example, my piston drill over here weighs 350 pounds, is as loud as a jet engine, and pulverizes the ore as it travels through it, meaning that it's crushing it as it goes, and that creates a lot of dust. And that might not sound like such a bad thing. After all, we encounter dust every day. However, the issue is the dust you will find underground is very different from the dust you may encounter in your home, for example. In particular, because of a mineral called silica. Now, you may recognize silica from those little white packets labeled silica gel, do not eat. You may also recognize it as a primary ingredient when you're manufacturing glass. And that little bit of information there would probably lead you to believe that we should not be breathing silica in. Particularly if you're breathing it in over the course of your 15-year career here at the mine. Or if you're breathing it in at the large quantities that our miners were. Doing so is incredibly hazardous to your health, as it can lead to a very serious lung condition called silicosis. But don't worry, everyone. It's not all doom and gloom, I promise. Because my jackleg drill here is going to make things much safer. This jackleg drill has a water-fed drill bit, meaning that as this drill is traveling into the ore, it has water shooting out ahead of it, preventing that dust that was harming our miners' health. It also is significantly quieter than my piston drill. And unlike my piston drill, can be bolted into the ground, so there is no one required to stabilize it, like our piston drill was. Because one of the most hazardous things about that piston drill is you had to have a worker standing at this leg, and that leg, and that leg. And if that drill kicked back, those workers could be in very serious danger. But again, that's a problem our jackknife drill does not have. And another really, really cool thing about this drill is it still works. I know, right? Welcome to loud noise number 1. So, what do we do when we hear loud noises? Do you remember? That's right. Nice work. All right, everyone. I'm going to be turning off my microphone,
Putting on my own hearing protection. And then I'm going to be traveling over to our compressed air hose here. I'm going to turn on, and then I'm going to start counting down to 3. By the time I get to 1, I see everyone covering the boat in their loud. I know, right? It wasn't loud, but it was very loud.
and before we can do anything else here at the mine, that muck needs to be cleaned up. And so my third team of workers, after my drilling team and my blasting team, the team working with the explosives, is going to come in. And they are called muckers. And at the beginning of our operations here, they got to use this incredibly sophisticated tool right over here. I'm gonna go ahead and call it a shovel. They actually called it a muck stick. Is anyone sensing a pattern? Now, even using their muck sticks, they were expected to lift anywhere from 6 to up to 16 tons of muck per shift. This right here is a 1-ton ore cart. So just imagine that by the time your tour is over today, I need every single one of you to fill this cart at least 6 times. We're going to be here a while. Luckily though, I have something that's going to speed this process up to maybe about a minute long. And that is my machine right over here. Now, I'd like to play a little game. I want to see if anyone can guess the name of this machine here.
Bucket truck.
Ooh, very close. That is an exceedingly good guess. Does anyone else want to try? Ooh, muckraker, that's a good one. Okay. Now, what they called this machine was even less creative than the guesses you've given me today. They just called it the muck machine. Not exactly the most creative bunch, but hey, they had a lot of work to do. They had other things to focus on. All right, now my muck machine here is going to be my second loud noise. So I'm going to ask that everyone covers their ears once again for me. Here we go. Oh, I need both ears covered. All right, that's not a bad idea. Okay. Not gonna lie, everyone, that is my favorite part of my entire job. It is so much fun. I wish I could let you all have a try. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and reload that boulder. for the next group so that they can do the exact same demonstration. And then we're going to talk about one other major element of technological change here at the mine. Okay, is lighting. We did not. Exactly. This cord here can catch on virtually any piece of equipment here in the underground. And even just someone's elbow as they're walking by. And then all of a sudden my headlamp is on the floor. So, this was not exactly the favorite light source of our miners. However, it was much safer. So it's still a big step of improvement in our light sources, even though our miners may not have loved it. Now, is anyone curious to see the kind of light sources that we use in mines today? All right. You might be more familiar with this light source. This is, my friend, the LED light. And this is the dimmest setting that this light has. This light has no open flame, does not require a little bit of a dangerous chemical reaction, and will stay this bright for 48 hours before I need to recharge it. So, this just goes to show you how far we have come in the technology of our lights. We've gone from fighting with candles to the wonders of Mr. LED. All right, now I'm going to go right up here. Now, this shift whistle was designed to alert a town site 5 kilometers up Mount Shear. That shift change at the mine was about to occur. So, if there is an exact opposite to quiet, it's this whistle. All right, now, I will need everyone covering their ears as tightly as humanly possible, please. Here we go.
Three, two, one. I need both ears covered very tightly here.
An injury or something like that occur on the shift, and that they might need assistance up here. All right. Now, because we're all safely out of the underground, we get to head to the second portion of our tour today. Our award-winning multi-sensory boom show. My core shed. Now, does everyone remember that cylinder I showed you back in the drilling chamber?
Yes.
When this mine was still operational, buildings like these are where those samples would have been stored. And back then, there was 8 of these buildings, filled to the brim with core samples. And that just goes to show you how often we were taking those samples in order to ensure that they were mining in the most productive way possible. So I'm going to give everyone a couple of moments to go explore, read the sign-in.
Go take the to read it. Box of coal. Coal is like a book. From left to right, top to bottom. When we markings in the key where the coal was doing
I was going to be playing. So, follow me, everyone. And shows the building we're all currently standing in, under construction. Now, construction on this building took 18 months to complete. I think that's pretty impressive. When you consider that this building is 20 lot of modern day construction projects because it would probably take about 18 months to get the permits to build something similar today. All right, and that's if all the paperwork had gone through very nicely. Now, in this building, we're going to learn all about what happened to the ore that was mined here once it was no longer underground. And we're going to, no rush, take a few moments, soak in the scenery on the way. And in the meantime, I'm going to be getting our show set up for us.
Yeah, this is kind of smooth. Это степище.